Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Every Nation. Today, we got a special episode, and you've seen this man on the episode before, Dominic Turner. He's about to tell us about some new ventures that he's into. Last time you saw him, he was a corporate man. Now he's doing some moving and shaking, and he brought a special guest with him, Sunshine Hodges, who's a key member on his board of this wonderful thing that he's about to share with us that he's starting. And they're here just to share their incredible journey. One's going to share their incredible journey from corporate into making a direct impact and understanding communities through philanthropy. And we'll explore their personal stories and the challenges they face and what drives them to keep it going today. Dominic, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Captain?
Nothing, man. It's good to see you back. Just to revisit, from here to there, tell little people about your background. And then the transition from corporate America, where we first met, into this nonprofit and entrepreneurship journey. Just give them the segue, give them the feedback, the segue, the cliff notes, and then let's get into the new thing that you're doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's interesting. Last time we talked, we were talking about mental health and well-being. I was working at a company in the tech space, and I was in the process of doing some work there, but at the same time pursuing my passion in community advocacy. And so it was sort of foretelling into the future when we were talking last of what was going to be coming. And here we are now, a year.
We here, baby. We here.
We here, right? And so, I took that once in a lifetime opportunity to make a difference in the community advocacy space, leaving 15 years in corporate America to start a foundation, a nonprofit that focused on community advocacy, bringing attention and resources to underserved communities around metropolitan Atlanta. So that's just the cliff note.
That's the beautiful thing. And, the crazy thing is me and you, when we were talking offline, we talked about just our own personal journeys in life, how we both started from the East Coast. Tell them where you from. Give them the who are you background. So because I think this is going to be an important aspect of your story, and to full circle to how me and you met, and then how Sunshine came into this story. So give them the personal story of like your journey, and then we'll kind of connect those parallels as we go through.
Absolutely. My brother from another mother, from DC. We grew up in DC, 18th and Rhode Island, where my mom lived in DC, went to DC public schools. And where our connection really started was in the program that we both were in, which was the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute up in DC. And
now, we wasn't in there at the same time, y'all, but we just happened to know we both were beneficiaries of this program.
Absolutely. And as you can see, it has made a major impact on both our lives, right? And it's really laid a solid foundation for the work that I would be doing now, right? And getting into community advocacy is really something that's been in my family. My dad, he was a retired military chaplain, Korean conflict. He was a prison chaplain. And he just kind of got out there and just started doing community work himself, just kind of getting out there and cleaning up the neighborhood. And he started across the street from our house. And next thing you know, he's down the street, he's around the corner, he's around the next corner, and all along. And all the while, folk are starting to take notice to what he's doing. They're wanting to help him. They're joining in. So you got neighbors joining in. Then you've got the neighborhood civic association joining in. And, this is over the span of years, and now it's becoming decades that he's doing this kind of work. And then, the DC government got involved, and he got millions of dollars in neighborhood improvements in the community where we grew up.
And he did this on his own. He didn't have no foundation or anything, huh? He just was doing it.
He's old school, just got out there and just kind of just did it.
Right.
You know, when he passed away, they erected a memorial directly across the street
That's
from the
beautiful.
house that we grew up in, where he started the work.
Man, I'm gonna have to visit that next time I come out to DC. And so like that's so important to the story as we go into this journey of you starting a foundation, because I mean it was a core to not only you being a beneficiary but being in the program, and then but also seeing your dad and your family, just do this work without the official title of a foundation. And
Right.
now you get to center it and bring it home. For the people listening, real quick, name of the foundation, what do you do? Who do you do it for? And why do you do it?
Absolutely. So the foundation is the Turner Foundation for Community Advocacy. Our mission is to bring attention and resources to underserved communities around metropolitan Atlanta. And why do I do it? I do it because it's what I was made to do, is what I was built to do. It's kind of sort of that DNA kind of thing. Both Sunshine and I, we cut from the same. All three of us, we all cut from the same cloth.
Mm-hmm.
It's this
Right.
this
And Sunshine,
home.
did he do a good job at that? Did he do a good job? Would you add any more sauce to that?
No, that's pretty good. I think he's right where we need him to be, right there with the messaging.
All right, so Sunshine, give me, like how did you get roped into this thing? Because I know there's a connection there, and then tell after you give us that, tell me a little bit about your journey and how it's been like, as you come to join Dominic on this mission.
Yeah. So thank you, first of all, for the time and having me here. I am here because I am connected to Dominic, right? So we met, it's been over 10 years ago. So we've been, rocking for a while. And I was always impressed with the work that he did in the community because I'm community work oriented myself. And so when he called to let me know that he was formalizing the foundation finally, and told me about the latest projects that he'd been working on and had expanded not from just the neighborhood where he lived, but also to underserved communities where the work is really, really needed. I was happy to hop in and help in any way I could. So we really started kind of really getting this moving earlier this year when I was talking with Dominic. At the time, I was an advisory board member. Hadn't done a whole lot physically with the foundation, but I had some time and I've been on boards, served on boards before, and I called him and I said, "Hey, what can I help you do?" He goes, "Oh, this, and this. Oh, and by the way, I'm giving away these scholarships to the kids who participated in the mentorship program, and we're giving an event in June." It was April.
Wait, Dom, why you laughing? Hold on. What's the backstory?
The voice of wisdom spoke. And Sunshine was like, "Yeah, I understand your enthusiasm, but we might need to, kind of pump the brakes a little bit and make sure we got this stuff in order." I think the life changing call that came was, I'd previously invited Sunshine to join the board, right? And she came on and we were kind of working, just kind of making things happen incrementally. And then, things really started to accelerate when we were formulating and formalizing the mentorship program, and that was getting off the ground, and the kids were engaged, and I was starting to get some scholarship money. And I was trying to figure out how to award this money to the kids, and so I came up with this award ceremony idea. And you'll find as you're moving along these journeys in life that people will come to you at the right time in that journey. And I tell you, it was the call that changed my life, because Sunshine just called me out of nowhere, literally out of the blue, and was like, "Dominic, how can I help?" And
And she's like, and pump your brakes
and
because we need to organize this thing. And
yeah,
let me help you organize it because accordingly you need some organization in your life.
yes, sir, brother. I was going 95 miles an hour to nowhere, right? So,
Right. So Sunshine, you come back in here, you organizing things, and tell me where it picks up from there.
Yeah, well, so first, again, he mentioned he wants to do this event. It's April. He wants to do it in June. I go, oh, okay. Where are you going to do it? He goes, oh, so, 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 so we had to start there, right?
What?
And immediately I knew. I mean, I have a skill set in that, and I know how to
What?
organize events. Have done it quite a bit over my career and over volunteer activities as well. And so I says, okay, is there a
Uh,
reason we're doing it in June? And when he
what?
explained what he was trying to do, I go, okay, let me help you understand some things realistically. He says, first of all, first things first, we need a location.
Mm-hmm.
And we need a budget for that location. And so we need to, figure some things out. So it's great. It's a great idea. We can make it happen, but we can't quite do it in June. We're looking probably more like September.
Okay.
And so we made September our goal, and then we were able to get out and get some additional funding and sponsorship for
Uh,
the event. And from there, we were off to the races. But
nice.
it was being able to step in though and help. And Dominic's really good, as he said, he's 100 miles an hour down the road. I'm the
Uh,
one who goes, hang on, wait a minute, what about this? And what about
that,
this? And what about this? Right. And so we have a symbiotic relationship that way, and that we kind of balance each other out. He's full steam ahead, and I'm very detail oriented, and fortunately have some experience with some things. And so I'm, able to help. And we were able to get that event wonderfully over the finish line and had a wonderful location and, really on a shoestring budget.
yeah. That's a beautiful thing, and I think the good lesson here is like what a lot of people when they're doing community advocacy work, nonprofit entrepreneurship, you need somebody who's the opposite of you to really balance you out, so that you could really take that vision and take it forward. Now, I know a little bit about Dominique's why, but I gotta ask Sunshine Hodges. Who, for the people who don't know you, who
Yeah.
is Sunshine Hodges, and what is your why? What motivates you to do this? Like, sometimes people's why is because of their life experiences growing up, some of the things they've been through, or how they were passionately affected by somebody else's story. Who is Sunshine Hodges, and why is your why? What's your why to why you do this work with my good brother?
Yeah, well, my ultimate why is, well, let me back up. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I was raised in the church, and we did a lot of work in the community at the church. And I learned that, serving the community, at a young age and going and seeing people who, had less than we had. And, we didn't have a lot growing up.
Mm,
But to be able to go out and meet other people and see where their needs were, and see where we could help and be of help to those people was
mm,
super impactful for me. So in addition to that, in college, like a lot of people, I joined a sorority, and we did quite a bit of community work during that time, and having that outlet for me to be able to help somebody else
mm,
has always been really, really impactful. Most of what I do in the community, I tend to do on a one-to-one, non-formal basis, right? So not necessarily with the foundation, not necessarily with an organization, but where there's a place that I can help and I can potentially be impactful, I'm happy to extend myself that way. And
mm,
so that's just kind of my why, is because, in as much as we've done it to the least of these, we've done it unto
mm.
him. So I always keep that in mind. And if I have an opportunity to help somebody, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I love the theme here of this community and being in service. Something that I see threading in all of our lives. When we talked offline, we saw that as a common theme amongst us. I want to back it up just a little bit because there's going to be a lot of people listening to this and who are about community like you guys are, and they may have the thoughts and so forth. But sometimes that career shift is hard, and the motivation to do that. Dominic, you even mentioned that. Um, Early in your statement, I know people are capturing that piece where you were involved with the corporate world for a long time before starting your nonprofit. What was the catalyst that made you leave or dedicate yourself to philanthropy and transitioning from there?
Interesting that you would ask that because I was actually doing the work the entire time I was in corporate America, right? I've been doing this type of work for decades now. It started um, really in the neighborhood where I purchased my first property, and I saw that there was a street where young women with strollers were walking dangerously close to the road, and there was no sidewalk, right?
Mm,
I saw people carrying grocery bags from the store right up the street, dangerously close to this road at all times of day and night, right? There were no street lights, no guardrails, no sidewalks. And then I found out that someone passed away on this section of road in my neighborhood because it was a 40-foot drop off on each side of the road. And the car just ran right off the road and went down that embankment. The person died. So
mm,
instantly, I just kind of got into that mode, right? Like my dad would be. And, I just reached out. And this is where my corporate background came into play because I knew how to navigate complex organizations like city governments. And you'll hear from Sunshine, this is kind of sort of how we're programmed, right? This is what we
mm-hmm,
do, right? We're bringing this corporate background to the community advocacy space, right?
mm,
So that's the model, right? And that's
yeah,
what gives us that edge. And so again, I'm doing this work all along while I'm working in corporate America. Months into bringing this to the attention of the newly formed city of Sandy Springs, I'm meeting with the project manager out there in the street, and they're showing me blueprints of the sidewalk, the guardrails, and the street lights, and where I wanted them. And it was a sister that came out there. She was the project manager,
yeah,
and she kind of just chuckled, right, when she saw me in person, right? I was like, "What's
yeah.
so funny?" Right? She's like, "Mr. Turner, I'm gonna just be honest with you. All this time I was talking with you, I thought you were an old white guy."
Ah! Was it because you was talking that corporate talk?
Because I'm talking this way. And I was like, why you say that? Right. She said, because never, honestly, have I met a young brother who was this civic minded to go to this length to get this kind of work done. Right. And so that's where it started. And so, that began that kind of fire in me to be doing this work. And I was doing it all along while in corporate America.
Yeah. Now I want to dive deep into the challenges because often when you're transitioning and you're doing this work, we come up against hurdles, and I think that's what stops certain people. Because I'm thinking about the time of trying to articulate in the corporate setting to community, and not everybody speaks corporate, at least not as well as we do, and are able to transition both seamlessly to get things done in the community. I'm also thinking about you're trying to build a foundation for the organization as well. And I'm gonna start with Sunshine because being part of the board, that's one of the biggest things that the board has to do is like build a foundation for the foundation so they could go out and do this work. So what challenges do you encounter in helping the organization with building this foundation? And could you tell me about a specific moment that was really tested and the organization's mission may have been tested or something to that nature?
Sure, certainly. I'll start with your last question first. So we're tested daily.
Yeah.
We've been in strategic planning sessions all month long, so it's been a bit of an eye opening experience with how much work foundationally that we have to do, how much foundation we absolutely have to set in order to properly operationalize the organization. And of course, the biggest hurdle in any nonprofit is true for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's in locating and identifying sources of funding. And
Mm.
we want strategic partners who are long term, big dollar donors are willing to help us support and fund and operationalize the mission of the foundation. And, we're finding this again. I come from sales as well. I've been in sales over 20 years and marketing over 25. And it's a similar challenge, right? So it's not new. It's just a different way to go about finding those sources. And fortunately, because I as well have experience in government and the government arena, it's easy for me to be able to kind of see some different ways we can try to get to where we're ultimately trying to go, and try not to spin a lot of unnecessary cycles.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of the biggest hurdle we see. And right now, like I said, we've been in strategic planning all month long, finalizing what we need to be successful and to move forward in 2025.
Yeah.
And so I think it's critical that we do that work now instead of waiting until later and scrambling every month. I'm an organized type of person, so I don't like to do things at the last minute if we can help it. But so I wanted to emphasize with Dominic that it's critical that we at least understand where we are and where we're going, have a roadmap, and then we can charge forward. And so one of the other areas as a board member is, galvanizing the board as well to, bring all of their gifts and the things that their talents and things that they can do to help as well. And again, all things that we're working through in our planning sessions. But,
see, I see why you got her down, Dom. That she bring that other element of corporate, that strategic planning, get everybody organized. Okay, you're gonna do it in September. No, June. But let's how we gonna get there? This look more like a September thing, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, now you both held corporate roles before. Just see it's threaded in there how you kind of like infuse that into the work that you do. How did that experience shape your approach to building the nonprofit? What was there ever a moment where you questioned the leap, Dom, when you did that, or as soon as you got Sunshine on board, he's like, oh, I don't question anymore because now I got somebody to help me strategically plan.
I'll tell you, and this is God's honest truth, man. Just because you say that you want to get out and do something and you start to do it doesn't mean it's going to be easy in any respect, man. This is just like starting your own business. And you're going to face doubts, fears, disbeliefs every step of the way. I think the beautiful thing about what my experience has been is that you get these confirmations that you're on the right path along the way. And they could be little gold nuggets. They could be big explosive things to let you know that you're on the right path and to keep going, right? It's all about, overcoming a lot of your own fears to take that leap. Sunshine and I talk often, and the thing that is a consistent theme is how when you're moving in your gifts, skills, and abilities, it's a natural thing. It's the closest thing to you is breathing, right? It's not something that you have to work at. You just have to be consistent. And I think if there's one powerful thing that Sunshine does is she makes sure that we're consistently moving in a specific direction to get a specific outcome, right? It's consistency, right? Just because you say you want to do this and make a difference in the world, you have to operate consistently, and you have to push things forward in a systematic way. And so that's the biggest thing that I see in this work.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest hurdle that, because I often in my career, I've talked to a lot of people who have dreams in the corporate sector, and they have dreams deferred, dreams that die. And I there's that old saying that if if you want to see um where all of the biggest dreams are, I go to the morgue because that's where people take all of their biggest dreams and the things that they want to do
That's key.
to, yeah, and what in your humble and anybody can answer this, in your humble opinion, what do you think is the biggest hurdle that people face, or maybe it's something that you faced in making a shift from corporate America to starting a nonprofit?
Um, I think the biggest hurdle is fear,
Fair.
right? It's fear. I talk to a lot of folk, and they're like, "Oh man, I'd love to be doing that kind of work too, but I've got this and that and the other," and all of a sudden, all of these objections start to stack up in your head, and sometimes you have to just
Mm-hmm.
get pushed out there. Um, to do these types of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there, and once I got over that initial, I'm going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you start to look for how to do it, that's when those things start to come to you, right? I had no
Yeah.
idea how to form a foundation, but once I took that leap, um, you know, a buddy of mine is like, step out on faith, let Jesus catch you. So the
Yeah.
first thing that, the first thing that caught me, right, and I'm not kidding, right, the first thing that caught me was, how do I go about establishing a foundation? And I found a book, and I started reading that book, How to Establish a 501c3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, I got to get a website, and I got to do all of this, and I got to apply for the nonprofit status with the government. Lo and behold, I found a company that did it all.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was get plugged in with them. And they specialize in helping nonprofits get established, from filing your nonprofit status paperwork with the IRS, to helping you set up your board documents, to helping you build your website. And I was just like, wow, okay, so, and if I can plug them, the company is called Bright Bridge Consulting,
Bright
BRYTE
Bridge
Bridge
Consulting.
Consulting.
Yeah, write that down. That's a plug right there.
Yeah, Bright Bridge Consulting. And I mean, literally, they took me from point A to point Z. And one of the biggest parts was they had to help me establish a board. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about who I would want on the board. And,
Mm-hmm.
I thought about the most powerful, influential folk that I had in my life. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how Sunshine popped in my mind, and several of my other colleagues that I've worked with in the past, they popped in my
Yeah.
mind, and I brought the vision to them that I wanted to do this foundation, and next thing you know, they're on the board, and
Yeah.
and now we're off to the races.
I love that. I want to unpack that fear just a little bit because sometimes we leave it at the surface level without going a little bit deeper to see what when you say fear, what is that? What did that mean for you? Was it like um fear of failure, or fear of the unknown, or fear of the work, the amount of work that was going to take, or is it the fear of sometimes we have that negative self-talk that talks to us, and it's not even our thoughts. Sometimes it's the thoughts of others that push it on us, because you go give this idea to your auntie or your cousin, and because they can't do it, it's like, boy, what you doing? You don't know nothing about that. Like, you need to stay away from there. That stay in this nice little corporate job you have, and that affirms your fear, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna I got a good thing here. Like, what is the fear? Like, break that down to me.